Live from our Columbus office, this is Chameleon Cast with Christopher McGurn and Michael O'Connor. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Chameleon Cast. My name is Christopher McGurn.
And I'm Michael O'Connor.
And this is episode 4, Why You Need Confidence to Succeed. We're going to go ahead and talk about that on a pretty detailed level, I'd say, Michael. In regards to, what are the very big misconceptions of what, people are taught from a very young age all the way up until they graduate college and even after. And also going into, what is it that you need to succeed as an entrepreneur? What do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think, what we're aiming for, I'd say for this episode, a lot of it will be about kind of our story, what we've experienced, and what is necessary to be successful as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. But the end point is that it's what's necessary to be successful as a human person in life.
Yes.
In your experiences, in what you do, and what you're passionate about. I think
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line.
And this, like he mentioned, this is not just for entrepreneurs. It is a little bit tailored to them, but this is definitely for everyone, really, to benefit. Yeah. And I think another thing that's important before we get into it, just to preface everything, is, every episode of Chameleon Cast is kind of like a little bit of a different feel, a little bit of a different approach and goal. This is going to be jam-packed with information for you, so buckle up and let's get right into it.
Yeah.
So, Mike, the first thing I want to get into are what are the main problems? What are the main problems that people are, either taught, that they think or feel as far as being an entrepreneur? Like maybe they, it's a dream of theirs or an idea that they want to do, but they shy away from it. Why is that? What are the main problems? Maybe from a young age. Let's start there.
Yeah, I think that there is a kind of societal and cultural push towards the kind of life where failure is very minimized, risk is very minimized, to the detriment of individual human beings' ability to dream, an ability to succeed and have confidence in themselves. And I think that part of the problem is that we live in a society that is so focused on being able to have, as soon as you get into school, you're taught to, people ask, what do you want to do? Immediately you're kind of pushed in a
You're put in the box
direction,
a little bit,
in a certain direction. Yeah. And excuse me. And it continues as this trend towards, as soon as you graduate high school, you're expected to go to college. As soon as you graduate college, you're expected to get a job in a certain industry, and then you're expected to possibly work in that industry for 40, 45, 50 years.
And retire.
And
an older age. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's interesting because that is a very kind of safe, kind of low risk life. But at least in my experience, and I think I can speak for both of us here, is that at least in some contexts, at least with some people, because here's the thing, we're not gonna say this is for everyone. We're not gonna say
sure. This is not for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
This is definitely based off of our approach from our personal backgrounds and experiences.
And I think, if someone is really concerned about risk, concerned about failure, that's something that they should, kind of work on themselves. But it's also something that maybe it's really not the best for them to kind of have that outlook. Like, there's nothing wrong with getting a job and working hard for a long time and retiring.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with knowing that a paycheck's coming in, knowing that you have health insurance.
The certainty is really nice.
Exactly. It is really nice. But
back to the...
Yeah, but exactly. But the is that all of that can very easily lull, and honestly, just discussions I've had with so many people that they were lulled into this lifestyle of a mindset of just getting through days, not their dreams from years ago are just like, oh, that was just silly stuff. Their ideas, they don't think that their ideas are good.
Where does this come from? Is this is this in the school system? Is this from society as a whole? Like, is this from colleges or the government? Like, where is this coming from?
I mean, I think it's part of human nature, I think, is the bottom line. I think that it's very easy as a human being to err towards mediocrity, especially when it concerns immediate kind of safety, immediate kind of risk. It's human nature tends to move towards that kind of easier lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think that's the
it's
bottom
comfortable.
line. Exactly. And you know, like you mentioned, I think there's an enormous number of factors that add on to that.
Of course.
But I think it's an unfortunately a natural tendency that can be overcome, though. I think that's the key, is that it's not something that you need to, however old you are, if you're 16 or 86, there is always the opportunity to gain that kind of confidence in yourself, gain that ability again to dream big and to do those things that you want to do. I think that's the bottom line.
And I think, to go off of that, I think another one of the main problems is that so many people are too afraid to take that first step, that first leap of like, but what if, right? Like, well, what if this, and if I do that, then this. Like, I know there's a quote that I heard a while ago. I love it, and I wanna share it with you now because I think it directly applies with entrepreneurs and taking that leap, but really just life in general. And the quote is this: "I would rather live a life of what ifs, not oh wells." Right? And or excuse me, I got that backwards.
Wait a second.
I got that backwards.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I'm so sorry. I got that backwards. There it is. No. Correction. Here's the actual quote. I would rather live a life of oh wells rather than what ifs. There you go.
Yeah. At least you said it confidently.
I said it confidently, and that's the point. No, exactly. I would rather live a life of oh wells than what ifs, because living a life of what ifs, it's like, well, you'll never know. And you lose the mystery, that excitement, that passion to your life, right? So it's like, okay, like the oh wells that happen in your life, like, oh, okay, like, yeah, it didn't go according to plan, or oh, like I did mess this up, like, okay, but you learn from that and you become better, you become more confident, and you move forward. Like, life's not over because of that. So I think that's so important, of like, okay, take the risk and surrender the outcome.
Yeah,
right.
I think there's such a fear of failure.
Exactly.
Like you said, surrendering the outcome is very difficult.
Yes.
So
again, I apologize for the miscue there. I hope that wasn't too confusing. But yes, surrender the outcome. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I really like that. Because it's, the bottom line is, no matter, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, you know, no matter what kind of connections or money or kind of the external factors, like the bottom line is that you have control of who you are. And you are your greatest asset in life.
Yes.
I think that's the bottom line. You are your greatest asset in life.
Oh, that's good.
And I think people sometimes don't believe that.
I think many times they don't believe that.
Yeah, I think people will get into this situation where, and it could be as simple as, I've literally heard stories from people where a teacher, when they were a child, you know, they poured their heart and soul into a painting, or I mean anything, what they wanted to do, and they were put down on that, or their dreams were crushed, whether at an early age, later on, or through kind of chronic incidents. And that happens, and it makes people believe that they're not good enough, that they don't have the kind of skills or the knowledge.
It's all the lies. It's just a massive lie that plagues our vision of like what we want to do in life. It's like, oh, well, I was told this, or well, this is what I was shown, and it's just like, that's a very delicate stage of life. Yeah. Like, you need to be very careful in what you share with someone, what you tell someone, how you act and treat someone all the time, but especially at that young age. That's a very, very, very formative time of your life. Exactly. Yeah. And I think, to go off of that too, like, I think another one of the big problems that I think is there as far as people not becoming entrepreneurs is, like, there's just so many people that are not entrepreneurs. And recently, it's become more common. It definitely, over the last few years, like, there have been more entrepreneurs than before. But it took a long time. And surprisingly, there's still not that many. You would think there'd be a lot more entrepreneurs out there today. Yeah. Why is that?
Well, I think also, you know, maybe there is a bunch more. I think there are statistically more. But I think also they're also more vocal now. I mean, it's, with the advent of, easily accessible social media,
Yep.
easy communication mediums, you're able to see entrepreneurs and people who are, more successful, whatever.
Yes.
It's able to be seen more. So I think it's also just a higher perception. And it's interesting because in some ways it can have a counter effect in that a lot of people will see that and say, oh man, they have it all. I could never do that. I can't get there. And it's just not true.
They become intimidated.
Yeah.
They're like, well, that person's so far up there and they're so successful and they have all this money and connections and experience. And it's like, well, I'm not anywhere close to that. Like, there's no way I could ever do that. And then they shy away.
And I think the bottom line is, what is your definition of success? If it's just the money, if it's just the connections, if it's just those kind of external factors outside of you, I mean, to be honest, you're never going to be truly satisfied because there'll always be more money to have, more connections to be made, more notoriety to gain. I think that's part of the problem too, is that we're in a culture that very much idolizes those external kind of identities of what success is as well.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And we're going through a list of problems, and we'll go ahead and reiterate it after we get through the list. We'll go back so you have like the bullet points. Also, if you're not taking notes, I highly recommend it because there's going to be a lot of tidbits of information, all those nuggets of information. So I definitely recommend you take notes of some
or watch us again.
Or watch us again. I mean, that always helps. Of course.
Listen to us many times.
We love that. But I think the next thing, and this is something I mentioned to you, and again, like I'll say this a couple times because it's a little bit intricate. Hopefully, I don't botch this one like I did the first one. But another thing I like to say is this: being a business owner is overwanted, but underpursued. I'll say it again: being a business owner is overwanted, but underpursued. Why?
That's a good question. I think like we talked about, I think there's an inherent risk of failure, there's financial risks, I think there is an unfortunate situation that exists that, I mean, it's a pretty common psychological phenomenon that's called Schadenfreude, which means harm joy. And what it is it's very easy to beat up on people when they're not doing well.
That's true.
Which I think creates a vicious cycle where, let's say you know someone, or you've heard of someone who started a business, or started, not even a business. They did like a side hobby,
personal
like
venture
painting,
or whatever.
And suddenly they fail, and it's a vicious kind of cycle, because what it allows is the people who have already, maybe they've already experienced that, maybe they have dreams that they haven't followed yet. They can kind of say, oh, okay, that's
sure,
that's happening to them. I'm glad I'm where I am now. Like I can take solace in the fact that that's not me. And you kind of gain this emotional like uplift when someone else fails. And I think that the core of it, I think at the core of, what you mentioned about how, like, why is there such I feel like a lot of people have said, like, oh, I've always wanted to do what you do, or I've always wanted to start a business, or make this app, or pursue this dream, or go to this country, or do this or that. And I think that there is a tendency where I think there's a fear of that judgment, of that failure being seen. And I think the healthy way to look at it, I think we'll touch on this, so the healthy way to look at failure is that we as human beings learn from failure. Yep. It's one of the most powerful tools to recognize who you are and to learn and grow. And it's such a difficult position to be in, because this tool that helps us learn, like physiologically helps us to understand more, to grow more, is looked down upon and is so often portrayed in this kind of negative aspect. And I think that it really, the confidence, I think going back to, kind of the title of the episode, confidence involves being able to shift that mindset and saying, I'm going to learn from these things, I'm going to learn from these failures, And I mean, some people have few failures, some have many.
Yeah.
But it's that being able to be confident in who you are and say, I'm confident that I'm going to learn from this.
Yes.
And I'm going to grow and I'm going to get better.
Yes. Exactly. And one of my favorite quotes that I heard a while back, it's 2 words. It's fail spectacularly. That's a tough word. Yeah, fail spectacularly. I love that because it's like we're all going to fail. We're human. We're not perfect. Like, so it's inevitable that we're going to fail many times, right? However, like when you do it super well. Like there's so much you can learn from that. It's such a simple saying, but when I first heard that, I was like, no, like they're onto something. Like I like that. No, it's very true. It's like you're gonna fail, so you might as well do it well. and I really like that, and I think that's very helpful.
Yeah.
And so the last main problem that we have here on our list is this: people are living small. They're not dreaming big. I'll say it again. People are living small. They're not dreaming big. And I think as an entrepreneur, as a person, just as a person, you need to have dreams. You need to have like those big goals in life. You need to push through, and remove all of those obstacles, those fears, those insecurities. Get rid of all that stuff. That's all crap. Get rid of it. Like, have the big goal, the big dream, and pursue it. And I think so many entrepreneurs, like in the business sense, they have these really awesome ideas. Like, I mean, I know personally, like, we both know so many people with incredible ideas, brilliant minds, but they're not dreaming big enough. They're like, yeah, like maybe someday. And it's like, no, hold up, time out. Why not today? Why not?
Yeah.
You have this amazing idea. Why don't you actually pursue it and take action on that?
Yeah.
There's this big misconnect of like, they're living small. They go through the day to day and there's, like, oh, like this is okay. Like I wish I was doing this and that. It's like, stop wishing and just start doing. Stop wishing and start doing. Right. I can't emphasize that enough. And that's what you have to do. That's one of the many things you have to do when you want to start a company, when you want to become an entrepreneur, whatever that looks like. You know what I mean?
And I think you touched on it. People severely undervalue their ideas.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So many times I've heard individuals say like, oh, this idea. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. Like, and they're like, oh no, that's just a random thought I had. I'm sure someone else has already come up with that.
Right.
Oftentimes that's not true.
Yeah.
People have original ideas that are great, that solve problems, that will help other people, and just don't take the first step.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I mean, you're right. I think that's what it is. And so basically, to sum up this section of the podcast, essentially we have a list of the main problems that we came up with for entrepreneurs specifically, but really just people as a whole with life and difficulties that people are having. And the list is this. 1, what people are being taught and shown, as Mike was talking about earlier, right? 2, nobody's taking the first step. 3, why are so few people actually being entrepreneurs? Like what's the hold up there, right? What is it? 4, being a business owner is overwanted but underpursued. Why is that? And 5, people are living small. They're not dreaming big, right? So that's our list for all of you note takers out there. That's our list so far of the main problems, right? So now what we're going to do moving forward is really going into, the area where a lot of people are like, oh, this, like, in order to be an entrepreneur, like, you need to have these things. You need to have A, B, and C, and then maybe you have a chance. And so we're going to talk about what those things are, but then really, just share that it's not necessary to actually be successful as an entrepreneur with those specific things, and then go from there, right? And so, Michael, like, let's talk about some of those things, right? The main things that people very often say, like, they need or they really want in order to be a successful entrepreneur. Amazing connections, a ton of money, years of experience, and they so many people are like, oh, I don't have enough time. I need more time. I don't have the time for that. So let's talk about this. Let's start with amazing connections.
Yeah.
Like, is that having amazing connections, is that absolutely essential to become a successful entrepreneur?
Bottom line is no.
Okay.
It's a big help.
It is. And that's the thing. All of these things are very helpful.
Yeah.
They're all very helpful things. They're all very good. And if you can get these things, power to you. That's amazing. Good for you. But they're not essential.
Yeah. And I think the distinction to be made, too, is that once you start, let's say you don't have the amazing connections when you start off. Once you start moving in a direction where you're passionate about something, you're committed, you're confident, that is going to bring like-minded people to yourself, and you're going to start creating those connections organically, rather than waiting for a time when, I know this guy and this woman who are all connected. I can now start this. It's because it's up to you. It's up to you to execute. And once you begin moving in that direction, like-minded people are going to be joining with you, and you're going to be surrounded by individuals who share those goals, share those dreams, share those ideas. And sure, it does help at the beginning to have those connections, but in some cases it can hurt you, because then you're lulled into this false sense of security. You're lulled in the idea like, this person's going to take care of me,
and that becomes your identity as an entrepreneur. It's like, I owe this person everything because of this and this, or I really need to suck up to this person. I mean, let's call it for what it is. A lot of times that happens, and I think it's very easy to find our identity as an entrepreneur by the people that we know, the connections that we have. And I think that's a very dangerous path to go down.
And I think it's just humanity. It's very easy to find our identity in our friends, in our family, and to a certain extent, it's true. Your identity is affected and kind of molded by the people that you're with. So also, another thing is like, surround yourself by people who you want to be like, who you want to become more like.
And who are better than you too.
Exactly, who are better than you as well. And people who have those same goals. And that'll help a lot, but it's not one of the essentials.
Exactly.
It's going to help, but it's not one of the essentials.
Let's talk money. This one's interesting. So many people, and again, this one does depend on what exactly you're trying to do, because sometimes money, like, you do need it. But one of the main things that I hear, and I'm sure that you hear, especially as the finance guy, is is this, like, I have this idea, but like, I just need so much money. I'm like, well, what's your idea? And they share it, and it's like, dude, like, you actually don't need any money for that right now. Like you just do this, and this, and like, then the money will come, and this and that, or start lean. You don't need a loan for this project, or you only need a small loan. You don't need this huge, massive loan for that. Like, again, it's very circumstantial. Yes. But a very, very, very common misconception is like, I need a ton of money and all this stuff, and investors and all. Like, let's talk about that. I want to hear you, Mr. Finance over Mr. here. Finance. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
It's true, because, I mean, and this is The Economist to me. I love economics. This is The Economist to me saying all money is just a means of exchange. It's a means of acquiring either other people's time, other products, services, things that you're exchanging for something. So if you have more money, you're going to be able to exchange for more things, you're going to be able to hire people to do things. You're going to be able to buy software suites, products, machinery, equipment, marketing, ads, everything, all that stuff. And all of that stuff is important, and it'll help. But when it comes down to it, if you're relying on that as a crutch, there have been many startups that get a big old investment round of funding and then never turn a profit and fail.
I'd say many do that.
I mean, and the majority of startups fail. That's the bottom line, and that's something that to take into account. Like, there is inherent risk,
and there's a risk. Exactly.
But I think the idea that you need a certain amount of money to do a certain thing. You need a certain amount of money to acquire a certain thing to get moving in that direction. The bottom line is, if you're willing to put in your hard work, your time is valuable.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think people underestimate the value of their own time, the value of what they can do, what they can accomplish. And if you're willing to, and I think another big problem is people expect to immediately be super rich when they start something. That's just not true. That's just not true.
No, you're gonna have to work a lot before that.
Yeah, it's just not true. And I think it goes for all sorts of things in life as well. If you want to be a professional musician, you're gonna have to practice. You're gonna have to get really good at what you do. You're gonna have to dedicate a lot of time,
energy, resources.
And I think that people undervalue themselves and overvalue exterior money as like, oh, once I get that, then I'll be good enough to do this. Once I get that, then that'll be enough. And not to say, I'm enough.
I don't even know what to add to that. That was really well said. But I guess going into our next point then, one of the other things that is definitely a general misconception is they don't have enough experience, right? It's like, oh, like, I don't have the experience to do that. And at least for me, it's like the first thing, and I know I've said this in previous podcasts, and I'm a firm believer in it. I'm going to say it again, so I'm sorry for all you viewers and listeners out there who have heard this or seen this before, but it's true. Yes, like, you might not be the most experienced in your field, this and that. Okay, stop making excuses. You've put people that are better than you around you, and you will get all that stuff done, and it's going to get done well, and, you're going to succeed from that. So many times it's just like, oh, well, like, I want to do this and I want to do that, and I have this great idea. I'm like, good. Like, yes, I'm glad you have this great idea. Why aren't you doing it? Oh, well, I don't know how to do all that stuff, and that's just going to take me a lot of time, and I don't know how to do that. I don't have the experience for that. It's like, then why don't you find people who do? And they're just like, and it's like, there's people that do know how to do that, so just find them through networking, through all this stuff, and, like, you'd be surprised. Like, yes, like, I'm not saying it's super easy. It's definitely not. But, like, it's a lot easier than you think to surround yourself with people who are better than you, who do know those things that you don't, who do have the experience that you need to get the stuff done that you want to get done. It's definitely possible. You just got to look in the right places, and you gotta make the effort to do that. Yeah. But I think that's one of the main things, too, is so many times it's very much, oh, I don't have the experience for this. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah,
honestly, you're never too young and you're never too old.
Amen.
To follow your dreams, to do what you want to do. Yep. And, excuse me, and whether that's, like, industry experience, like, oh, I haven't been an engineer for long enough to know how to design this product, or I haven't been in software for long enough to know how to design this app. To a certain extent, you're never going to be 100% ready when you think you are. There's always going to be another excuse, another reason to be like, no, I don't know quite enough yet. I haven't. I think it's a lot of things in life in general that are going to happen. Yeah. And you're going to say, oh my gosh, I'm not ready for this. But you become ready in the doing of it. You gain the insights, the knowledge, the confidence in yourself as you're doing it, as you're proving to yourself that you're better than you thought you were.
And I think there's a couple things. Like, for all you entrepreneurs out there or aspiring entrepreneurs, here's another tidbit for you. Like, the equipped are not necessarily called, but the ones who are called are going to be equipped. So, like, if you're called to be an entrepreneur, you will be equipped. That's what I'm saying. Just because you have all the stuff and that you need doesn't mean that you're an entrepreneur. So I hope that distinction helps. But it's like, I'll say it one more time. The equipped are not necessarily called, but the ones who are called are going to be equipped in order to be a successful entrepreneur. And to go off of that too, I mean, okay, like, let's talk about experience and this and that. Oh, I don't have enough. I mean, Michael, like, the people generally in our positions are twice or more our age. Yeah. Like, a chief creative officer, usually, you're 40s, 50s, or older. Chief financial officer, like, same thing. Like, that's double our age, and yet we're already in that position. So talk about, like, being thrown into the wolves. I mean, yeah, like, it's like super exciting, super fun. You're like, it's quite an adventure, but it's not stopping us. Yeah. We're 23, 22 years old, and we're running a company, a multi-million-dollar full-service agency at 22, 23 years old. Yeah. So it's like you said, you're never too young, you're never too old. Like, that's literally living proof of that. And that's not to, like, pat ourselves in the back. That's to give you hope. That's like, there's no point in us just saying, oh yeah, look at us, like, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not the point of this. The point of it is, like, it is possible to be running a company when you're not, 40, 50, 60 years old. You don't have to be that age. There's no, like, requirement of, like, oh, you need this many experience, this many years of experience, all this stuff. Yeah. No. There's, like I said, we're half the age of the average person in our position right now. Yeah.
I think the key is that what business is, what being an entrepreneur is literally just helping others. Mm-hmm. You make money, you succeed by helping others because you're providing
Yes.
them services, you're providing them products. You can do that no matter how old you are, how much experience you have. If you're solving a problem, if you're helping another person, that's going to be valuable.
Exactly.
And that's going to be something that will carry you forward.
And you'll make money from it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's business, like you're saying. Yeah. I love that. Very well said. Again,
Well,
Michael is always very good at just explaining things. Yes, like very well said. That's business. In essence, like that is business. And so again, let's go over. Oh, and the last thing, really quickly, as far as the things that seem to be the essentials that are not actually the essentials, like as far as not having enough time, that's an excuse. In my opinion, that's just a massive excuse. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to spend a lot of time, energy, and resources. That's the reality of it. But if you're truly called to be an entrepreneur, you will enjoy that. Now, granted, there will be times that are very difficult, very hard. You don't want to do it anymore. You don't feel like it. But at the end of the day, and I definitely can speak for myself, and I feel very confident I can speak for you as well. At the end of the day, it could be a very tough, long day, and yet you still feel that satisfaction. You're like, no, this was worth it. And it's because you care. So if you're truly an entrepreneur, if you truly want to become an entrepreneur, you will make time for the things you care about.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah. That's exactly right. And the thing is people, at least in my experience, people will think that their time has a certain value to it or has a certain weight to it, and your time is worth what you value it as.
Absolutely.
If there's something that you value, you say, hey, this is worth my time, then it's worth your time. Because I think one of the pitfalls in our experience of, you get a job, 9 to 5 kind of job and everything, is that time becomes very commoditized.
Yes, absolutely.
On an individual basis, time becomes very commoditized. We have minimum wages, we have all sorts of kind of functions that say you're worth this much amount of money when you're doing this thing for this amount of time. Mm-hmm. And I think that can harbor a kind of idea in the mind that believes that as a person, that believes that you're worth that much for that amount of time. And I think that it takes stepping out of that and saying, that's what I'm doing right now. I can grow. I can decide what my time is worth, and move up that kind of chain of what other people value time at, what other people perceive that time's value at. So, like you said, the bottom line is that the time excuse, or there's not enough time, or I just don't have enough time in a day to get moving. Like, if it's something that you truly value, you're going to make time for that thing.
Absolutely. Yep. I think it's that simple. I don't even think there needs to be anything else to add to it. I think it's just that simple. And so to go over our list again for all you note takers, is this. I'm going to keep saying that.
Okay.
I really hope they're taking notes.
I appreciate it.
But these are the things that are very good to have, but that are not essential for your success, right? They're good to have, but they're not essential for your success. These are the things. Amazing connections, a ton of money, years of experience, enough time. They're all great to have, but they're not essential, right? Yeah. So let's talk about the entrepreneur essentials. What are those, right? We'll go through the list. We'll list it out, and then we'll go ahead and explain, right?
Okay.
Self-awareness, communication, ambition, adaptability, humility, determination, empathy, creativity, confidence. We'll go over that. Let's start, and again, we'll probably just spend 30 seconds or so for each one, so we don't, hold you too long. But let's start with self-awareness.
I think self-awareness is the knowledge that you are worth it. You are worthy of being successful. You are a human being who has dreams, who has desires.
Yep.
And it's the awareness of that aspect, of that I can do this. It's also the awareness of the aspect of maybe I can't do these things, or maybe I shouldn't do these things. And it ties into kind of the the communication aspect
Yeah.
of being willing to be self-aware enough to say, I can't handle all of these things. I'm going to be aware enough to say, I need help. And I think it also ties into the humility in that way. I think a lot of
They
people...
all tie together.
They do. I think a lot of people are sometimes as afraid of failure as they are for asking for help.
And I think that's a root of pride. I think it's an insecurity that people have. They're like, oh, like I don't want to ask for help. It's like, well, why not? Well, it's awkward. I'm like, get over yourself. Ask for help. Seriously, get over yourself. It's pride that's holding you back. Get over yourself. Ask for help, and you'll be fine. You won't die from that. There's no shame in asking someone for help. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
And I think, like communication, like you said, ambition. That's another one. Super important. If you don't have ambition and you want to be an entrepreneur, like, you're gonna have to reevaluate because seriously, like, ambition is so key. There's gonna be so many times where you feel like, oh my gosh, this is not worth it. I can't keep going. Like, this is just, I just need to stop. Like, there's just nothing left, worth fighting for. All of this stuff, all these lies, and you're gonna have to have that ambition. It's like, you know what? I don't feel like it, but I'm gonna do it, and that you need that. Yeah. So ambition, adaptability. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think that is a very, very crucial one, and one that can often go unsung, I would dare say.
Yep.
Because the ability to change your outlook, to learn, to grow, I think is something that isn't necessarily valued as much as it should be, especially in our kind of society where industries are so specialized. Once you go to medical school, you become a doctor, you specialize in a certain thing, and that's amazing. Like, all the doctors out there, you're amazing. Thank you for what you do. But adaptability in the human being themselves is being able to continue to grow, to continue to not be shoehorned or placed in a box in one way. And I think that's absolutely crucial for an entrepreneur, because we have to be able to wear many hats.
And you're always learning.
Exactly, always learning.
It's something new every single day. It's like, oh, I never thought I had to learn that or do that. Well, now you do. Yeah. So you better learn now.
so many streams of information, streams of input from so many different people, and being able to adapt to your environment, adapt to the needs of other people to provide them problem-solving services and solutions and products.
We've talked about humility. Let's talk about determination. I think, very similar to that ambition. It's the same thing. If you don't have determination, you're not going to make it as an entrepreneur. Sorry to break it to you, but that's the reality. And so, and this is how you have that determination, is if it's an idea, if your business, your startup, whatever, if it's just you, like, maybe you find someone. If you really struggle with that determination factor, find someone who maybe wants to go half in with you, who is going to be determined, who is going to help. And like, I know for us, like, you and Michael and myself are very determined, but John Michael, again, our third founder, our CEO, he is so determined that I'm not going to lie, there's been times where I'm like, I don't know if I can keep going, man. And I'm sure, like, you probably, felt similar at times, just because it's hard and you're exhausted. But yet, like, I remember, like, several times, John Michael was just like, no, like, we got to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to be okay. And all of a sudden, it was just like a light bulb. It was like the switch that just got turned on. I was like, thank you. So, like, if it's a struggle for you to be determined, get people in on the same thing, passionate about the same thing as you, and they will help you stay determined. They'll help you stay on the course.
I love the word moxie. And I think determination is where discipline meets moxie.
Yes.
Because it's the discipline of being willing to do repetitive tasks, learning repetitive things, constantly grinding, with the moxie of the confidence, the kind of... It's saying when, not if.
Yes.
And believing that. Really believing that. When, not if.
Oh, man, that's so good. For those of you who have listened and seen our previous episodes, Michael is always one for words. And I'm a little bitter, I'm not going to lie, because I had a word that I was going to use later in the episode, and I'm still going to use it, but I feel like he's kind of stole my thunder with moxie. Moxie's a great word.
Word of the day, folks.
Hey, it can't be word of the day. I was going to have the word of the day. No, but it's great. Moxie's great, and it's very true, what you're saying. But I had to make a comment. I always have to make a comment about a word that Michael uses, because it's just every episode he has one.
It's the running gag.
It's the running gag, one of many. Anyway, so Determination, right? Okay, this was an interesting one. And actually, when we were preparing for this talk, and just to put it in perspective, like, all of these talks are coming from us. We don't have people writing scripts for us or anything like that. Like, this is yours truly making the scripts, right? This is very raw. And that's how we like to be here at Chameleon. But, when we were going over this script, in this list, and it kind of caught me off guard at first, but the more I look at it and the more I think about it, I love it. Empathy. Let's talk about empathy. I want to hear, like, what was your motivation to put empathy on this list of the essentials? Again, all of these things, these are the non-negotiable essentials to be successful as an entrepreneur. Yeah. For all you note takers, once again.
And empathy. So the reason why empathy is an essential is, I believe, it goes back to what business is, what entrepreneurship is it's solving problems for other people, making other people's lives better. Amen. That's what being an entrepreneur is. That's what a business is. It's an entity that solves problems and makes other people's lives better, easier, more convenient, however you want to say it. But in order to do that, you have to be aware enough to understand what people's struggles, what people's problems, what's going on. You have to be able to see what's going on in other human beings, to be able to recognize that and internalize that, and have the emotional intelligence to say, I see that happening. Can I fix that problem? Can I make that easier? Can I help that person? Having the empathy to see that, to internalize that, and to take action on that.
And something I really liked what you said was, like, seeing the person. And just to add on just very little to that, like, empathy requires you to actually see the person, not as a means to an end, not as an object, nothing like that. To actually see them, treat them, and value them as a person. Like, that needs to happen in order for empathy to actually be a thing and to work.
And it's not just about the consumer. It's about your employees. It's about your partners. It's about
the human person.
Exactly.
It's about the human person. And that's what I'm getting at. Is, like, empathy is about the human person, not just the product and this and that. Right? Like, and I think that's very moving. It's very powerful. And it's a lot deeper than, any surface level thing, So I really love the fact that you put that on there. Creativity. I'm going to take this one because it's literally in my title. Chief Creative Officer, kind of my job. But no, like, when I said, like, let's put creativity on this list, I didn't just say it for that, okay? But just disclaimer, okay? But really, like, creativity is so important because, and it's very similar to that adaptability as well. You have to be able to think on your feet. If something doesn't work, you have to find another solution. Like, that's not just that's a non-negotiable. You have to find another solution. You know what I mean? And so having that creative mindset, helping others be creative, facilitating that creativity within, like, our departments. Like, I know for me in my design and production departments, I'm doing that. But also, like, with our, with you and John Michael, my co-founders, and, and the other departments, with our clients. Like, always, like, creativity is so important because as an entrepreneur, the whole part of it is you're trying to do something that has never been done before, which is, like, what we're doing at Chameleon right now, or doing something that has been done before better than it's been done before. Yeah. Which both of those things require creativity.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I agree.
Awesome. And then the last one, and this is my word, everyone, just for the record, is my word that I watched a movie the other night, and they used this word in it, and I loved it, and I looked it up, literally looked it up to see what it meant. Confidence is the last thing we have on the list. Obviously, the title of this podcast episode, right? Confidence. Why you need confidence to succeed. Mike and I were talking about this. Confidence is the quintessence, there it is, the quintessence of all of these other entrepreneur essentials, right? Self-awareness, communication, ambition, adaptability, humility, determination, empathy, creativity, and many other things, mind you. These are not the only things you need to succeed. But, like, this is what we came up with, right? But all of those things put together gives you confidence to move forward. Like, that's the whole point of this. Like, that's the whole point of this episode, is to give you that confidence and be like, no, you do have what it takes. This is what you're going to need. Don't believe these lies, so that you can move forward and actually have the confidence to do and pursue what you dream of doing. Right? And so, like, really, again, confidence is the quintessence. Please look that word up. It's awesome. Of all of those other essentials. That's the easiest way to put it. Right?
Yeah.
Anything to add to that? Yeah. Please.
Yeah, because it's confidence breeds action.
Yes.
When you're confident in who you are and what you're about to do, you're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, confidence breeds action. And I think what confidence also is, it's kind of the glue between all of those individual character traits that enables them to work so well together and mesh into this tightly fitting clockwork that creates the kind of success. And again, you need to understand what your definition of success is.
Right.
If you have these traits and if you have confidence, you're going to be an optimistic person. You're going to be a happy person. You're going to be someone who believes in themselves. You're going to be someone who believes that they have the control and what it takes to do what they want to do, to follow their dreams, to achieve what they want to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so to sum it up, like that's our list of the entrepreneur essentials. Again, I'll go through it one more time. Self-awareness, communication, ambition, adaptability, humility, determination, empathy, creativity, and confidence. And so moving forward, shameless plug right here. No shame here. For all of these things, right? Like when it comes to Chameleon, our company that we started 6 months ago, which has now very quickly, we've been very fortunate, like from 6 months ago until now, we're now a multi-million-dollar full service agency, right? Yeah. And we got there because of confidence, because of all of this stuff that we're sharing with you is from personal experience. All of these essentials, all of these lies that we had to face as well, like this is all coming from a very personal approach. This is not just stuff that we like Googled and like, oh, like what are things that people are struggling with? It's like, no. This is what we have had to go through to get to where we are today. And we've been very, very, very blessed. We couldn't do it without our amazing team. And the determination and all of this stuff from one another. But like what I'm getting at right now is if you feel like you're held back, if you feel like you have this awesome idea, you want to pursue it, but you're intimidated by like the finance, the legal, all of, whatever it may be, like you're intimidated by certain aspects, like don't worry about that. Like we'll take care of it. Leave that to us and our company. That's what we do. That's literally what our company is for. It's to help you pursue what you want to do and do it well, right? And if that's what's holding you back, don't let that. Like pursue what you want to do. Follow your dreams. I know it's super cliche and everyone says it, but no, really, follow it. And so I know like that's definitely a plug for Chameleon, but like that's exactly why we founded the company that we did, is because from the cultivation of our personal experiences and backgrounds of like what we went through, the lies we had to face and overcome, the difficulties we had to push through, all of that together was the inspiration for starting Chameleon.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would just say that was very well said. And I would say that there are an enormous amount of resources out there, people who are, in some cases, dedicated their lives to helping others achieve their dreams. There are enormous stocks of, whether it's something like venture capital firms, whether it's mentors, groups, even local governments often in big cities will often have kind of councils for small business, how to start. There's an enormous wealth of resources and people out there who want you to succeed. And I think that it's easy to forget about that. Yeah. It's easy to think that you're alone or that it's you against the world. And really it's not. It's not. And I say I'd just close with, kind of reiterating that confidence that we've talked about, it's an empowering thing because it's going to breed action, and it's going to give you the knowledge of, it's going to give you the ability to say when, not if, and to do it.
So if there's, like, if you were to give, like, your final takeaways from this whole podcast episode today, like, is that it right there? What are your main, like, nuggets of, like, the main nugs, right? The main nuggets.
10-piece nug, please.
That's right. If there is one or two things that you want people to remember that you had to say in this episode, what would it be?
Here's the bottom line. I would say that you are enough. You can do it. And don't think that seeing other people either succeed or fail is going to destine you towards that. Because I think it's easy to if you're surrounded by people who are in a certain place in life, it's easy to get down about yourself, depending on whether they're doing extremely well. It's easy to get kind of the Instagram feed mentality of, oh my gosh, everyone else has such a better life than I do. Or if it's a situation where you're, with bad influences, people, are not good for you as well, it's easy to think that you're destined to, a certain realm of existence, mm-hmm. of like, you're kind of bogged down there. And I think that's so sad, because it's just not true. And I think a lot of people buy into that idea. And the ability to recognize that in yourself, I think, is the first step to that kind of confidence. Say, okay, no, I'm actually thinking that way. I actually feel that way. Let's change that.
I don't even feel like speaking after hearing that. that was so good. I don't even know if I want to say anything, but I will. I always do. So I guess for me, the way I would like to end this is this. I want to repeat what I said in the very, very beginning, right? As far as some of the main problems that people have, but maybe add a little bit of perspective to it, right? First, quote, being a business owner is overwanted but underpursued. Let's change that. 2, people are living small. They're not dreaming big. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time that we start turning our dreams into realities. The first thing you need to do is take a step. And that's all we have for today with our episode 4, Why You Need Confidence to Succeed. We're going to be having another episode coming out next week, episode 5. It's crazy to think we're already 5 episodes in, Mike.
Yeah.
If you guys like this, enjoyed listening, enjoyed watching, we really appreciate it. We'd love to hear from you guys. Hit us up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, all of that fun stuff. We love, if you guys have any topic ideas that you want us to talk about in future podcasts, we're all about it. Like we said, we write the scripts here, so please feel free to reach out to us there. And Mike, do you want to tell them where all the podcasts are going, where they can listen?
Yeah, so we're on SoundCloud, we're on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts.
Basically
we're
everything.
On iTunes Podcasts.
Chameleon Cast, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Chameleon Cast is everywhere.
You'll be able to find us.
Yeah.
Tell your friends, they'll be able to find us too.
And we'll see you next week.
This has been Chameleon Cast with Christopher McGurn and Michael O'Connor, the official podcast of Chameleon Solutions. Chameleon Cast. Innovation, information, impact.